Butskarn, Alex, Chris, are you ready to go to Star Wars?
Heck
Are we
yeah!
going to Galaxy's Edge?
No, this is...
I love it.
Said that we're not going to Galaxy's Edge now.
The MIDI is great.
This game is...
It's very good,
I'm trying to
yes.
calculate it in my head. Really, really old. I think this came out in 1992 originally.
Look at that! New Order!
Yeah.
Already
so this-
predicted in this game. It was ahead of its
This
time.
is,
27
this is
years old.
Star Wars X-Wing. This is the first Star Wars flight simulator game that would come to sort of dominate Star Wars gaming in the 90s.
Okay,
it
yeah,
was
you have to
originally
qualify
released in
every Star Wars
1992.
game-related statement extremely, because Star Wars,
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if it has had more video games based on it than any other intellectual property, and it started,
And-
like, right at the beginning.
Up until like the mid-2000s, most of them were actually pretty good, which is
Yeah.
very unusual for a licensed property. Like, I like Star Trek, but man, are there not very many good Star Trek games.
You don't like the Raven-based Klingon first-person shooter?
Oh god.
Raven produced,
See,
not
I
Raven
haven't even
based. It's not made
actually
of Raven.
played that one. But if you're talking about Elite Force, that was actually one of the few good ones.
Yeah. Part of the reason, of course, is that in the 1980s, George Lucas actually founded video game development for Lucasfilm. Like, they did all of their licensed games in-house. In fact, they were not, I guess you could say they were not actually licensed games. They were just games made by the license holder.
You want to guess what?
What?
Chicken butt?
This game has subtitles, and I forgot to turn them on.
Okay, well, what is
not that it
happening,
matters
Josh?
all
What's
that
the lore?
much.
What is the story of X-Wing?
So, the Empire is launching an attack on the Rebel fleet, which is congregated around the planet Turkana for some reason. And they're kicking their asses. But the Rebels have a secret new weapon. Can you guess what it's called?
Josh flying a TIE fighter?
No.
X-Wing?
Wait,
Yeah, it's the X-Wing.
Is
It's
this
the fucking
X-Wing or is
name of
this
the
TIE
game. This is X-Wing.
Okay, this is
TIE
X-Wing.
Fighter, we will probably
I
do
always
next
confuse
week.
these.
Oh.
So this predates A New
Doesn't
Hope,
like
then.
this. Can't remember what the dock spot.
Taking a
DOSBox
little
keys
bit
are
to get
for-
the
It's
droid in
churning
there.
a little bit. The DOSBox version
They
of this
wanna be
game
careful.
sometimes doesn't run so great.
I'm here for this. This is like
I
this
think
is
it'll-
like it
yeah,
was like
okay.
in
It's just
the
that one
original.
thing.
Yeah, no, it's fine. This is an authentic detail. Back in the day when your
The
computer
amount-
churned to render 2D images, you just lean back and went, "Oh, of course, absolutely.
Oh,
Take all the
yeah.
time you need, buddy."
So the thing I like most about this game series is the amount of craft that went into them, and we'll get into more of that in a minute. But like all these cutscenes are just great. Like this is obviously not 2D drawn, but a lot of them are.
Yeah.
The other cool thing about this video game is this is probably the very first video game I actually played.
It's up there with me, for sure, yeah.
Because my dad was like into computers in the 70s and 80s, like when he was at college. Not like
Game
super
over.
into them, but like he was,
Oh,
you know,
no.
he knew BASIC and he could do basic programs and whatever. So like he always kind of wanted to have, a home PC. So I don't know.
The longer
when
we go,
got
the worse the
ours,
credits
but-
run.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. So
At the very bottom, making the credits run smoothly is the last thing on the agenda.
yeah. So when I was a very little kid, he had a Windows 3.1. I don't know, maybe it wasn't even that. Maybe it was just a DOS machine, with a joystick and this video game. And so I kind of, very early video game exposure, got to play this. We're gonna skip through the credits.
It's
here.
funny how every PC enthusiast in the 90s had a joystick.
This is the scariest fucking screen on this whole game because this game does not. I don't know what it is with early joystick input, but it's not great. There's a lot of weird noise, no matter how well you calibrate it.
So, Josh, you are, of course, playing this on your Steel Battalion controller?
No, this is a Thrustmaster something or other. Some crappy joystick.
Are you sure you're not playing this on a
yeah.
dildo?
Put your trust in the Thrustmaster.
Thank you for that, Red
I just...
So, we can make a new pilot for ourselves, or we can play the top Ace 5 pilot who has everything unlocked.
No, boring.
This is a feature from the collector's CD-ROM. There were 3 different versions of this game. The first one was the DOS floppy disks, and that thing ran in like 320 by 240 resolution.
So some perspective I want people to keep in mind when we get into our first combats here is that this game produced Doom. Doom would not come out until a year after this. So in fact, not just in terms of a video game, but in terms of a first-person combat video game, that is essentially where this lies in the timeline.
Yeah. And like flight sims were really the first, like probably the earliest 3D polygonal games, of which this is one. And then there was
sounds counterintuitive,
the
but
game,
you think about it, there's not many things to render in the air.
The game had 2 expansions, and then it was re-released in 1994 as a collector's CD-ROM. That's the one that I had. Actually have somewhere around here, but I'm not using that version because it's a pain to actually set up a game manually to run on DOSBox. And then there was, I think, a 1997 re-release that was using the X-Wing versus TIE Fighter engine and was terrible. So, to give you an idea, like the amount of stuff that's in this game, what if we want to just go and look at tech readouts of all the ships? Well, you can do that. That's here. This is in the game. It doesn't really tell you much that's relevant to combat or anything, but you know, it's here. It's cool. It's just background.
How much of this
stuff.
made it into the original extended universe?
A lot of it is from the extended universe.
Yeah.
And yeah, and this game itself was pretty important. And then if we get to capital ships, you just kind of get little blurbs about.
Like, I never really got into the extended universe, so it's always interesting to me to see where that stuff even came from, because it's this weird hodgepodge of like novels, comic books, video games, stuff the author was making up on the spot, and then like
it's very strange
cut content, misheard communications, toy production lines that were canceled. Like, everything has an origin, but it's just the most obscure crap ever.
Yeah.
There's a film room.
Speaking of obscure crap
flight
ever,
films
and information.
What's up,
I
Alex?
have with me the essential guide to vehicles and vessels. So any vehicles we should encounter. Oh yes. So any vehicles we should encounter, I have all the details in book form.
I donated that book to a library 5-6 years ago.
So that's
that was a
pre-Disney franchise.
It was.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah,
this
that's like
is
1996 or something.
Yeah, let me check. The 1995 is the introduction, is when it was dated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you,
this
you shared me a photo of it. That's like a
I
first
tweeted.
printing one. That's not one of the revamps.
Yeah, this is like
This
is
is
from 1995 or something.
These are the books that I used in planning my West End Games Star Wars role-playing campaigns. Which I never got to run, so don't ask me about the West End Games Star Wars role-playing game.
Version. Oh man.
The Empire developed a new starfighter, the A-Wing, but the A-Wing already existed, right? It was at Bespin.
So this is
before the movies.
This is pre A New Hope.
So
there's a whole big page on A-Wing lore.
Oh no. Oh no, Josh. Did you...
Oh, that's weird. We'll see how well it actually runs. And I said I tested this. I didn't actually test I tested that the streaming stuff would work, and that the joystick was like detected.
Why do you think that was what we were asking when we asked if you tested it?
Because that's normally normally you don't have to worry about the emulator not being able to pretend that you have enough fucking core cycles. What is that?
Alex, you got any cool
F12?
A-Wing facts queued up?
Do you want me to look it up?
Yeah, so, the A-Wing was the fastest starfighter in the galaxy at the time of the Battle of Endor. So this was, like, meant to be super, super fast. But it was originally designed to defend rebel bases and merchant ships from Imperial raids. So I don't think it was supposed to be, like, ever, like, a heavy vehicle. It's like, you know...
So
it's like you're supposed to, like, sneak and run, like, basically.
These portraits are auto-assigned, like, they're not... We don't get to choose them. So this is what Butskarn looks like, according to this game. So you can assign your other pilots to particular like craft here, and that will, if they're higher rank pilots, they'll like perform better on the AI.
Let me see that face again.
You actually don't want to do that, because if they die, they potentially lose their rank, just as if you died as them.
By God, we are the Death Stranding baby.
Yes.
So
there's just
Alex,
so much stuff in there. You got your fucking metal stuff.
Yes?
Debriefing.
A-Wing. Does the A-Wing in your book, is it listed as an Imperial craft?
I think you misread.
It's designed by an
launch
alliance
thing
general.
Yeah, I don't.
It's
It's
not an
There's
Imperial
also something
thing.
they had to do at some point in the. It was much later than that book was published, but because the A-Wing kept showing up before it was supposed to have been made, they had to come up with this like earlier proto A-Wing craft that oh wow, yeah.
Bigger
All right,
A-Wing.
So what is this?
You want the controls? It's
yeah, the DOS box commands to cycle up the cores, or the
in this mode,
CPU.
you can reduce the amount of cores with real CPU core usage by Control F11 or raise it by Control F12.
So I did play this game when I was about 7 years old, and so I know a little bit about how it works. Basically, what'll happen is you'll spawn like this, and then you'll stare at the screen for a while, and then you'll die. And...
Yeah, there's... I think I need to do some tweaking here.
Okay, well... I mean, if nothing else, we'll have a rollicking good time looking at specs for a starship.
Yeah, so we're gonna break here, because I'm gonna have to close the game. And then we will come back shortly thereafter. Seems like it's running fine now. Let's launch into the mission and see. Well, that's running okay.
That looks stable.
It's the direct draw theme.
All right, cool. So we're back.
Yay!
Are we recording?
We made this game use DirectX to make it work. Yeah, I didn't stop recording in between. I just.
Oh.
So it's interesting. So wait,
I had all
that
these
bit's
facts I
interesting.
could have given off while we were waiting.
Well, they would have been staring at my desktop while I was messing
Yeah,
around on a different
good.
monitor.
So what's interesting to me about that is one of the most weird additions to the Star Wars canon in the Disney films is that we now know what it looks like when you're actually in hyperspace, and that's not something we knew in the movies originally or in the prequel trilogy, I don't think.
There were a few bits where you could see what ships looked like when they were flying around in hyperspace, like
Yeah,
what
like
it
when
looked
the
to be
Millennium
in
Falcon.
hyperspace. Yeah, like there's
But
in fact,
the
I think in A
blue
New
and
Hope,
white
there's one
curly
scene with
tunnel?
the Falcon flying through hyperspace. Yeah.
Really? Now I'm gonna
It's
have to
not.
look
It
this
didn't
up.
look the
Yep.
same though.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like there's a reason this game, when you go to hyperspace, it cuts away and you see the stars all like I remember the stars stretching. That was in there. But what we didn't have was like that blue and white tunnel of Photoshop cloud effect stretched over a tunnel.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
That was definitely in Star Wars, though. Like that, there was a shot
where.
of
Now I gotta
I don't
find
recall
this.
it
It's
either.
when they're
Yeah.
heading
Yeah.
to Yavin after they escape from the TIE fighters.
Literally loading Star Wars up right now. Anyway, continue talking.
I have another fun fact about A-Wings.
Go for it.
Okay.
Did you know that at the battle, it doesn't say which one, a single A-Wing destroyed the Super Star Destroyer Executor when pilot Arvel Kriniad rammed the Executor's bridge, causing the ship to crash into the Death Star, which I believe happens in Star Wars in a movie.
That's,
Long
that's,
after
I think
this
Return
was
of the
written.
Jedi.
Well, it happens in Last Jedi.
Right. No.
Not
Yeah.
the
It happens.
where they
Return of
bonk
the
the
Jedi.
ship.
Like Return of the Jedi. Like the pilot. Like the ship is going down and it crashes into the bridge. Yeah. That's definitely taken from a scene. Although they do not stop and say, "Hello, Orval. You're about to go down. Do you have any thoughts before you crash?" Yes. I was born on the planet Blendor. I am 28 years of age. I have a sister named Clemen, and
What?
she's going to become a Jedi.
Who's also related to Buttface.
Buttface is.
So there's a lot
oh
of
my
Easter
god!
eggs
I'm
on
opening
this.
up Wikipedia right now and adding our OC to the Star Wars Expanded Universe.
oh no, you can't do that, Butskarn. They'll hurt you.
It's
So
all
there's
the
a
kids-
lot of inside jokes on this particular first mission. All these freighters are named after other game companies. Like the one we just killed was the Sierra spelled backwards.
So
That's so
petty.
fucking petty.
Glad
I mean,
we
it wasn't
agreed on that
intent.
one.
It wasn't like, oh yeah, we're so much better than all these guys. It was like,
Disney does that all the time, though. Like, that's like, I think isn't like they're like a little jab in Star Tours too. Like,
here's the origin spelled backwards.
It's weird that I
So
never played this game.
there's a lot of stuff in this game. You know, like I've been messing around with stuff without really explaining what I'm doing, but so you got throttle controls using the backspace and bracket keys. There is no match speed with target ability. That's later.
Is this basically Descent? Like, is this just sort of free-form flying? Where you, it's not like you're flying
it's much more complex than Descent's freeform flying.
But like you can come to a complete stop, is what I'm saying, right? It's not like trying to
Yes.
emulate dogfighting in that sense.
It's like, yeah, you won't fall out of the sky if you stop. No. So if you look over to the right, the E, L, and S, that's the power balance of my shields, lasers, and engines. So I've got my lasers set to recharge as fast as possible, my shield set to drain as fast as possible, and my engine at mid-level. This is really important to mess with so that you can recover shields, keep your weapons firing, and manage your speed so that you can keep up with other ships. This ship is flying off to hyperspace. I don't think we needed to kill it.
I have a question.
What's up?
Oh damn it! I wait. Why? Well, I'll wait. Damn it, John. You ruined my joke. You ruined my joke by talking too long.
Awesome.
I'll bring it up in a sec.
So over on the left, my shields, I can set them to double front, double back, or stay at equal. On the top of the screen is my, the center, the top of the cockpit interface is the lasers. So if I were to bring this up, you'd see I have lasers charged up. There's two different kinds, so if you're down to these do less damage than if you get up to these, and you can tell from the sound. And then in the center is the warhead count. Down at the bottom is my speed. And on the right is the flight camera minute or seconds that are left or something, time units, and the damage indicator. Oh, and also the mission clock. And there are keyboard commands for like all of this, and you can. Oh God, how do I even get into? You got in-flight option. No, this is no. Let's switch on the simulator. Okay, yeah, we've got a map. You can check your briefing. You can manage your damage control. This game is really complex.
Okay. Well, I've been researching a little bit because I want to make sure that I get all the facts correct. The expanded universe is pretty big, and it's actually been sort of hard to find copies of some of the works that Butskarn starred in. But I think I managed to download a PDF of a few of the extra sources, so I do have the first paragraph of our Wikipedia article drafted, if you guys are ready to hear it.
Excellent.
Butskarn Derro was born on the planet Spoiwar 6. He's the youngest of the Derro family, more famous for producing LaCroix Derro, one of the 6 Dark Jedi conspirators defeated in the Black Holocron Saga. He got into a piloting career at the age of 5 when, using his plucky droid buddy N0FX, he turned a tractor into an X-Wing, which he then used to blow up the Emperor's 3rd Death Star in the Junior Jedi Pilot Adventures Volume 3, Oh Fuck, the Emperor! Choose your own adventure book.
That's pretty great.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm trying to nail down
that's
our
a little
teen
bit more
years,
interesting.
But, yeah. Yes, let's, because that was embarrassingly easy.
Does this have a real campaign, or do you just sort of get to pick whatever missions you want?
Oh no, that's part of a campaign. The next mission on that follows that storyline.
It's
so
all
we're gonna switch over
scripted.
to this guy.
All
'cause he's got everything
intrinsically, but it's
unlocked.
You know.
So if we
When
fly
did you
over
first
to
play the game, Alex?
Oh god. A long time ago. But this is like baby, again, it's not like, wasn't my first video
27
game
years
by
old.
any means. But yeah, it's like one of the first games that I played probably on PC. Right up there with Armored Core, you know.
So there's a series of historical combat missions, which I believe were added later on, that are just like, oh, extra missions. And then we can also play through all of the tour missions that this character has completed, which is to say all of them. There are 5 tours. Tours 4 and 5 have 20 missions. Every other tour has 12, except Tour 3, which has 14.
Okay.
That's what do we want to do? What's in Tour 2?
That's one thing I remember about these games, is that the structure of their missions feels like oddly historically inspired.
Oh yeah.
Like, they really did not just make a X-Wing game where it's like, oh, fly an X-Wing and blow shit up. It's very clear that they are inspired by, like, actual fighter pilot history.
They clearly just... Like, there's a lot of that, and they also clearly had the Star Wars movies and just poured over them. Like, there's tons of details. Like, this is General Dodonna, the guy who gave the Death Star run briefing in A New Hope.
He's also the one who personally hired us after we saved him from Dark Jedi pilot spies.
Right. There's just so much in this game. So we've stranded the Star Destroyer Intrepid here, and destroyed its replacement engine previously, and we're going to destroy the Intrepid, and we're going to do that by knocking out its escorts first. So we need to just blow up all the corvettes and kill the assault gunboats. And
sounds good.
Butskarn will be our wingman here. I'm sure he'll be
As
fine.
he should be. Well, if not, he's got 3
make a
clones that he
jump.
doesn't know about yet.
They don't even make a jump to hyperspace, by the way, after escaping from the Death Star.
Well, yeah, because they were launched from Yavin.
What? I'm looking for in A New Hope, seeing the blue and white tunnel, and
No,
I watched the scene.
they jump to hyperspace to go to Yavin, don't they?
No, because they shoot up, they blow up the TIE fighters, and then it cuts to Darth Vader and old McDude man.
Oh no, maybe
and-
it's okay. It's right before the scene with Luke and Obi-Wan training in the Millennium Falcon's hold.
You're just gonna
Well,
have
I'll
every
check
single
that.
scene. We're just gonna have Chris
Hold
watch
on,
every single scene of the
I'll
movie.
bring up Star Wars. Hold on.
Gotta have
You'll
our
have
research
it.
Star
team
Wars,
on this.
please.
So
we have
many
a crack
primary
team
sources.
of people.
Roger, using designated target. Roger, using designated target.
So 6 torpedoes kills a Corvette. Uh-oh.
It would be better if iTunes
Whoa.
didn't suck.
It is definitely not a tunnel. It's just a lot of streaks.
So it's like what we saw in the beginning of this movie, where like you can see the stars streak and then unstreak, but we never see the tunnel.
I'm gonna review it again.
The tunnel was definitely in the original Star Wars movie.
Oh yes, yes,
Where
it is in the
exactly?
there's a glowy
See?
tunnel. It's blue. Yes.
Damn it!
Yeah.
Then how come nobody ever did anything with that till the new series?
So, I
We
mean,
may be in trouble.
yeah, I was about to say.
Whoops.
I like how it actually fries your instrument panels.
Do you want to try that again?
So what
Or-
exactly are we like? Are we trying to do the story?
Well, we're just doing missions that are more interesting than that one where we shot at some freighters for a little bit.
You
Right,
know,
but
I guess
shouldn't there be a?
I mean, hey, do you want to blow up the Death Star?
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Because we can do that.
So I'm seriously out of depth in this question. Like I have not played this game, but maybe one of you has. How does this game compare to the first Wing Commander? Because that's one of the only like equivalent games that really preceded this one.
I haven't actually played any of the Wing Commander games. They're like they share a lineage.
It seems a little
Okay.
visually similar, although a lot less polished. Looking at footage in the first game.
I believe Wing Commander was originally sprite-based, whereas this game was like this is always polygonal. Because Wing Commander 1 came out in like we had some of the detail turned down, but I think we can actually
Josh turns up the detail and it goes back to performing what it used to be like.
It'll never stop being funny to me that Wing Commander had like Mark Hamill and a bunch of other recognizable actors for its FMVs, and then they made a movie and they just got like the biggest chumps in Hollywood. Like the Wing Commander film has just such a much weaker cast than the actual games do.
So how? Okay, so this is interesting to me because this is not the first trench run. Like you, for the old young people in the audience, this level is basically a port of an arcade game.
Whoops.
It's an interesting remix of a port from an arcade game because the original arcade game was more or less locked you into the
That was
trench.
the vector game, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that was the first trench run, and that has been done in so many Star Wars games since. My first real memory of it actually was in Rogue Squadron, the GameCube game.
This
That
is
was the
interesting.
second
Like
Squadron, actually.
I did not know that this was here. I actually played the Trench Run arcade game on an emulator growing up, but I did not know that this function was in the game X-Wing.
Yeah, this was kind of like the big selling point at the end of the game. Like, this is the end of the original game's campaign, and then Tour 4 and 5 are the expansion
I feel I
packs.
need to belabor by now that I did not reach the end of this or any game in this franchise. I think in
believe,
X-Wing vs. TIE Fighter, I once got a medal that was a higher class than lead. That is about all I can say.
I want to say Rogue Squadron opened with the Death Star destruction, and then from there kind of back down to more pedestrian, regular jobs for the Rogue Squadron.
Yes.
But I might be wrong in that. It does? Okay, good.
You do some like
That stinks,
escort missions and stuff. It's nice
Yeah.
This is
though.
the
I like
dessert,
it.
right? Yeah.
I like
Well,
doing other things. I don't need to play the movie every time, you know?
Right.
I guess, yeah, but this, I mean, even setting aside the fact that this isn't a movie, this is just such a, this is such a climactic scene. Like, everything comes down to this, you know? And it's all like, you got the trench, you got the claustrophobia, you got the turrets, kind of like all of it coming together, right?
But Rogue Squadron also was kind of more about, like, Biggs and Wedge, and I don't want to say their friendship, but...
Yeah. Well,
Talking
it
to
also
each
wasn't
other.
nearly as complex in terms of, like, gameplay. You know, you weren't managing your shield directions or how fast your lasers recharge or anything like that. It's also worth noting the game is actually much too slow normally, so we've accelerated. Our base speed is 100. We're now, because we're in the trench run, it accelerates you to 449. So, like, none of the rest, like, there's no point in the game where you're supposed to...
Oh, Josh, can you do it? Can you do it?
I got it. Do we not get the... Oh, we don't get the cutscene.
Why would you want to watch
Hang
the
on.
Death Star blow up?
We
That's for losers.
can get the cutscene. Hang on.
Okay, yeah.
Do we have to do the mission over again?
No. We just gotta go back to the Conquest.
George Lucas is like, no, if they want to watch the Death Star blow up, they can watch the movie.
So, this is weird. So, is this all weird because it's a DOS box game, or is it weird because we were playing the rewind of the mission so it doesn't play the story bits?
Yeah, it's because we're playing the rewind of the mission, so it doesn't play the story bits. I could not readily make a character that was already to that point in the campaign.
So in this alternate timeline, Luke Skywalker doesn't exist, and Butskarn was the one who had to do the honors.
They actually... So the actual default player character in this game is named, I think he's like... K.N. Farlander or something, and the explanation they give is that you're playing him for the whole game except for the last two missions where he was like, I don't know, on vacation or something, so Luke took his fighter, which was Red 5, and flew in his fighter for the end. So that's how they explain it.
Farlander. Listen, K.N. Farlander, you've got the flu. We need to give your ship to a farm boy. He's gonna be great.
Could they not get the likeness for Carrie Fisher, and so they just went with Mon Mothra instead?
That's what I was going to ask. Was it originally Mon Mothra?
No, it was in the original movie.
Great image. That's a great image. All right, listen up, everyone. Mon Mothra is going to give us the briefing. Good luck.
Several kaiju died getting us this information.
A kaiju spy in the Empire. This is like Godzilla shuffling around on a planet in like an ill-fitting Imperial uniform with a little cap on his head.
Oh my god.
Let's kill a Star Destroyer.
Aren't you a little tall for a stormtrooper?
It writes itself!
Much like the final gripping adventure in the K.N. Farlander and Butskarn saga.
You can probably look him up.
Moons of Love. The heavy homoerotic subtext was edited out for the second and third printings after somebody read it.
It's weird how, like, parts of this are obviously LucasArts pixel art.
Right.
Like the guy that was just giving us our briefing felt very LucasArts pixel art.
And then other bits are like obviously rendered.
Or based off
Or
of
this,
actual
which is a
movie props.
composite of rendered and pixel art.
I'm still upset that there's that damn blue tunnel for like 4 frames, and Josh is right.
Exactly 4 frames correct.
For the record, for those who want to go see this, it's when they're coming out of light speed after and arriving where Alderaan used to be.
I almost had it.
There's an exterior shot of the Falcon, and it is surrounded in a blue and white tunnel. Though for the record, it looks more like something out of like Inner Space
Doctor
than
Who?
something out of Doctor Who. Like it's like someone's wiggling some aluminum foil with a blue tinted light in front of a camera, more than the Photoshop cloud effect that we have now.
Give him a break.
Well, I'm just saying, there was something iconic in the star stretching bit that everyone borrowed. And
Yes.
no one had the tunnel until CGI became a thing, and now we, like, have action sequences inside of hyperspace. Like, that happened in Solo,
Yeah.
and it happened in The Last Jedi. But before
It's
that...
interesting too because in the expanded universe, or the old expanded universe anyway, ships weren't supposed to be able to do anything in hyperspace. Like they couldn't communicate with the outside world. They couldn't fight or do anything like that. In fact, they can't even like, activate hyperdrive engines inside a gravity well, which was like a thing from the Thrawn novels.
But, like, everybody's in a gravity well. It's just, the distance is much...
Yeah,
like,
it
we're
doesn't
being
make a whole lot
impacted...
of sense.
Okay.
Hello? Why am I getting...
The science and nerd in me is sad.
Sometimes you can shoot down enemy missiles before they hit you, but other times you can't. Alright, let's go and do this.
Here's another question. Does the fact that they do the shooter music, the turret sequence music, for the whole game get annoying?
A little bit.
Okay, I guess
They've got a lot of different like soundtrack stuff, but it does kind of get repetitive in this game. TIE Fighter's better about it. There's a lot in this game that will be much improved in TIE Fighter. For example, you can like so the things at the top, F and R, these circles show you like targets in your targeting radius.
It's front and rear, right? Like there's
like are farther away because like as it stands, it's difficult to like see anything farther away than like 1 kilometer when it comes to small fighters. There's also no weapons
man.
convergence.
But it is front and rear, right? Like it's giving you an idea of like basically a semi-sphere in front and a semi-sphere behind you.
Yeah. It's not easy to aim in this game either. Okay, let's
Good
go
kid, don't get cocky.
Star Destroyer now, which, yeah, okay.
So how do you destroy a Star Destroyer?
Well, you can just shoot at it forever. I mean, that is a valid way to do it. But the easier way to do it is to take out its shield generators, which are these things.
Just unplug them. It's that easy.
Oh man.
Just TIE bombers.
So that little
that
bit just
one
reminds
is
me
gonna
of Rogue Squadron. Flying at something and shooting at it, hoping it blows up before you have to suddenly pull away, is something that I have very close to my heart.
Unfortunately, we can't really tell how much health these shield generators have.
According to the book, the Star Destroyer's biggest weakness is found in ship-to-ship combat. The ion engines cannot produce sufficient speed for deep space actions, and most modern combat starships can simply outrun them. To achieve success, captains must first establish a superior position. For example, by pinning enemy ships in a planetary gravity well so they cannot escape into hyperspace.
Our combat ship's main weakness is ship combat.
I'm more bothered by the fact that like here's what I never got is like, how did these rules, like, did everybody just read all of the stuff? Like Marvel and does a lot of stuff by having like people responsible for continuity, and it always blew my mind that like this hodgepodge of random crap across multiple mediums does stuff like that, where like everyone just agrees that's how a fictional thing works. Like the no light speed jumps in a gravity well. Like that blows my mind.
Was like there were people from Lucas, you know, that were maintaining this stuff. It might have actually been George Lucas himself. I'm not completely certain. Like there was like some.
So
I think a lot of it stems from like the justification for like what if scenarios in Star Wars. So it's like, well, why didn't the Millennium Falcon, when they were in hyperspace, just turn around and shoot? And they'll be like, well, you can't do that in hyperspace. And then everyone's like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. And then it's like, put it in the book. And then that was it.
I can't get over the fact that the best strategy for a Star Destroyer to take on enemy ships is really best if they've landed. If you're gonna engage other ships, it's really best if they are on land at the time. Similarly, if you're in ship-to-ship combat at sea, basically the best thing is you want the weather gauge, and ideally you want their ships to be docked and unmanned. You're just gonna you're just gonna cut back and forth and give them broadsides before they've woken up and figured out what's going on.
So this is probably a dumb question. Can you fly anything other than an X-Wing in X-Wing?
Oh no, we've actually flown a Y-Wing before. Alright, we've knocked out the shield generator, so now we can start actually laying into the Intrepid's hull. Which is to say, now we have to shoot it a bunch more. But we can shoot it anywhere now.
So what is the bottom shield generator, you think? The tractor beamy docking
Oh,
turret?
I think that's supposed to be a weak spot. I think that's a fusion generator. But I'm not sure that actually does anything. It's one of those things where, like, I actually don't know the answer to whether that affects anything or not. Despite having played a whole lot of this game.
Alex, why don't you let us...
Wait, which ship should I look up for that?
It's an Imperial Star Destroyer.
Oh, wait, what's the question?
STD.
So the little thing on Josh's nav thing says that the top bits that Josh already exploded are a weak point, but then it's also got a little highlight on its belly, and we're wondering what the thing on the belly of the Star Destroyer is that is a weak point.
It's the solar ionization reactor.
Oh. What
So
the
I think
fuck
that's
is
a
that?
fusion reactor then. Crap. We should thin out some of these fighters. Oh boy.
I'm just saying that this game is much more gripping when you turn the sound on.
Did you have it
Mo-
off?
Do you
Star.
have the sound off?
Yeah. It just kind of looks like Josh is spinning around.
Oh,
in circles
come
and
on!
occasionally shooting at an enemy. You ejected safely though. It's fine. They got it from here.
Oh yeah, we're good.
Oh no, the mission was a failure. I guess I spoke too soon.
I got double tapped by missiles there.
I don't know why I actually thought that there might be a possibility that the mission would succeed even if you died.
Well, there's an interesting mission. What is it?
Is there a one thing I would love to see that is kind of underexplored in the greater Star Wars video game canon is exactly how an R2 unit maintains your ship. I think that would be cool to be able to invest not just in your ship, but in like an R2 unit.
So there's actually a mission here where we stole some R2 units, and then we put them in X-wings, and they were actually plants from the Empire, and they stole the X-wings and ran off. I hate that mission though. You play as a Y-wing, and you're really slow, and everything sucks.
Isn't a Y-wing a bomber?
I actually think.
Am I crazy?
Yeah. But the Y-wing has ion cannons, which makes it the only ship in the base game that you can use when you need to disable something.
That is correct.
I think that Alex is our scribe who
towards-
knows the ins and outs.
The
of
Y-wing is actually older than the X-wing.
Oh.
They were
Did
the
they start from
flagship
Z and
fighters
move
for the
backwards?
Rebel Alliance before the X-wing, as per, I guess, the letter classification. And they're a multi-purpose vehicle with a secondary mission profile as a light bomber. They are devastating in close quarters combat. Well, I think that... Yeah, what else did you want to know?
I'm trying to think of other things to learn about TIE
what's that
fighters.
mission? Maybe it's a historical combat thing.
Has there been? I'm sure there's been TIE fighter shaped pasta.
Imperial reconnaissance patrol.
I'll look.
Oh yeah, macaroni and cheese, probably?
Yeah, surely. The fact that I don't immediately see it does not mean that it doesn't exist.
I see X-wing pasta, X-wing mac and cheese.
X-wing pasta?
Macaroni's still pasta, Joshua, even when it comes to craft. I actually just see X-wing. I don't see TIE fighter anywhere.
It's not a great shape for pasta.
I suppose it isn't.
I mean, most pasta shapes of anything resembling a character or human are generally bad.
Is it a
And
full-time
always
job,
scary.
I suppose? Do they have somebody craft whose main job when they come in a given day is to figure out how to shape novelty
Oh,
macaroni
yes.
pieces?
Mold makers.
Right.
Candlestick
surely,
makers.
An Imperial frigate has appeared.
But surely that person
Okay.
has other responsibilities day to day. Just occasionally they're like, oh, well, time to put on the old
Well,
making
sure, no one has
X-wing
one
shaped
job anymore.
X-wings.
I
Oh,
cannot
yeah,
find
shame.
X-wing shaped pasta or TIE fighter shaped pasta. I have found that there is a kid cuisine themed around Star Wars that has TIE fighters and Millennium Falcon chicken nuggets.
Ooh, I like that.
Maybe it's...
I've eaten an unrighteous amount of kid cuisine over the years. I say over the years.
Yeah, okay,
It stopped
here we go.
happening about 15 years ago, but
Over the years.
Alright. This is the last mission in the campaign, and it's one of the crazier ones. We ended up with like
What
a
is
bunch of
that?
capital ships.
Do you want to
facing
air
off.
quotes
That's a
crazy?
So
What's
the Go ahead, Alex.
Nope, that was my point. I don't know
Oh.
if you would say this is crazy for today's standards.
Crazy. Hmm.
Oh, the B-wing is the basis for the ship, and you know what? Okay, cool.
Yeah. So this is
In
the
Jedi
second
Fallen Order.
expansion added the B-wing.
Yeah, in Jedi Fallen Order, you have a ship that is similar to but distinct from the B-wing, but it clearly uses it as an inspiration.
I didn't
you know
actually
what's
read
interesting
the-
to me
hang
is
on.
that in theory, various Star Wars films have like, okay, so obviously there's budgetary limitations for various Star Wars films. Like, the first Star Wars was made for a very small fraction of the money that probably Rogue One was made with. And obviously there's different eras of the Star Wars universe that are being depicted. But I want to say that even if you boiled each film down to like illustrations, which were of vaguely equivalent ambition in terms of the scope of what's being depicted, I think you'd be able to pretty easily tell what Star Wars media was made in what era of storytelling just by like what they thought was cool. It's the Western film paradox, where whenever you watch a movie that's set in the Old West, you can always tell roughly what decade it's in from like the men's and women's hairstyles.
Yeah. Or like how Star Trek, the original series, looks vaguely like a Western itself, just because of the way everything, like everybody's hairstyles, the way everything just kind of looks.
So
Not
what
to mention
is-
those Western episodes.
Not to mention the Western episode.
What is crazy about this mission, aside from the fact we're in a B-wing with a cool person?
So we're making the escape to Hoth. So this is like shortly before The Empire Strikes Back. And there's going to be a whole bunch of Imperial frigates that show up, and I think a Star Destroyer, and we're going to get 2 Mon Calamari cruisers, which is just like way more than this game ever tends to throw at you in one mission, probably because of like performance reasons.
Alex, are there any cool facts about B-wings? Because now I want to know more about them because it's Greeth's ship.
Yep. There's so much. So, it's a heavy assault starfighter, designed to take on capital ships, thus providing the Alliance fighters with the punch of capital ships at the fraction of a cost. So
Especially
there's, like,
since
a little
capital
budget
ships
there.
apparently can't fight anything that is currently more than 6 inches off the ground.
Did you know that the B-Wings were designed by Akbar? He designed them himself?
Really?
Did not know that.
Yeah.
I was aware of this.
Did he design the airlocks on transport ships? Because that seems like an oversight he probably would have regretted.
Oh, that was a reference to the stream, folks.
No, it was a reference to The Last Jedi.
Both.
Was it? What happened?
Remember,
what happened
we
in
were
the
talking.
stream? I was
We were
there.
we were grousing about the airlocks on B-wings, like during the stream, because like
Oh,
that dart, like that Jedi Inquisitor, just like almost carves through one with a single slash. and
Oh,
we're like,
yeah.
Is there not an airlock on this motherfucker?
There's a door. That's the same thing.
Our state-of-the-art
Really isn't.
sliding glass door airlock system.
It doesn't really on
Don't
the schematic
don't get near it during the
show.
flight. Don't get near it during the flight.
Because the B-Wings were so difficult to handle, only a few of the Alliance pilots were qualified to pilot it. B-Wing
We are not
pilots
one of
tended
them.
to become very attached to their ships and liked to personally supervise every repair and modification.
Butskarn Derro sired 2 children, Laxo and
So-
Morik, with our B-wing.
The thing with that is they're... So let me go into... This is third-person view. It's totally worthless because you have none of your HUD. The idea was,
God.
like, the cockpit... How do I... What button do I press to close S-foils? No. It's one of these.
Only the
never
most promising
use it.
pilots
There
were
it
put behind the
is.
controls of B-wings.
So the
What
idea
button do I press
was...
to close? What? Close S-foils. Close.
You see how
F-
the
Hello, tech support.
the
Yeah,
ship kind of
close the
rotates
S-foils
around the
on
cockpit?
B-wing.
Yes.
The idea was that that would just happen all the time, and that the pilot would somehow like control where the rest of the ship was going. But that's super dumb, so it never actually shows up anywhere.
You know what else doesn't come up a lot in Star Wars games is how difficult it probably is to fly something as lopsided as an S-foil closed B-wing or the Millennium Falcon,
Yeah.
given that you are off on the side of this massive vehicle and you have no idea what your clearance is.
The B-wing, sometimes called the underscore wing, after Butskarn and Derro tried to park it.
I really like the way it looks in Fallen Order.
So
And
one
again, it's not
interesting
exactly
fact related to your point, actually, is that there is a unique cockpit gyro stabilization system that allows the cockpit to remain stable while the rest of the ship rotates around it, significantly reducing stresses that result from sudden maneuvers. Unfortunately, this complex gyro stabilizing system frequently breaks down.
Yeah, well, which raises an interesting question, which is why does it have this? Why does this happen? Why was it made like this?
It created its own problem.
You'd have to ask Akbar.
Yeah, that just like gives you the insight into his mind right there as a character.
Akbar, I feel like the power of this craft lulled me into a false sense of security, but over time I gradually became aware that something about this was dangerous in an unexpected way.
Okay, now I see what you mean by this is crazy. This actually feels like Star Wars
like
battle.
they're just opening up. You rarely see ships actually engage each other in this game too, because their weapons ranges are hilariously low.
I had to mute the video again because this music was driving a nail through my skull.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Does this get repetitive? Because
folks at home, if you gotta mute the video, just go ahead and mute it. Imagine what we're saying. Scroll through Wikipedia. That's what Alex is saying. That's really all you need, actually. So there you go. Yeah.
I mean, the problem is that this song. I mean, it's from the film, but it's from a particularly tense sequence of blowing up 3 starfighters. That really is more about a Luke character moment where he finally blows up something and kills someone, and is like, yeah, and that's really the whole scene. And then they get away.
Yeah.
But that's supposed to be like a tense 2-minute thing. This is a 30-minute battle where it's just on
Yeah.
This is actually an important lesson for GMs as well. If you're coming up finding combat music for your battle, you might like find a song where you're like, man, this is fucking badass, I'm gonna use this. But realistically consider how long your party takes to get through a combat and ask yourself, like, is not something that's kind of pumping and low-key and like kind of a background better than like a playlist of thrashing, throbbing metal songs that's going to loop twice over by the time everybody's picked out their spells?
Jeez, Josh, you're cutting it close.
Yeah, this game likes to do that. That's one of the things this game does to get you. Like, sometimes you'll kill a ship and it will explode backwards into you.
One of the things I'm noticing is how quiet the game is versus the unstoppable music. Because, like,
think I
TIE
can
fighters you
adjust
can
the
hear from, like,
volume.
miles away. But here, like, you only hear TIE fighters when they're, like, right up on you. Same thing with all the laser blasts.
Drop
I mean,
the music volume by half.
obviously, there's no, there's not a lot of, there is no sound in space. But in Star Wars there is, and you would think you would hear more laser blasts and TIE fighters. But it's pretty quiet.
There's some canonical explanation that, like, the noises you hear in space in Star Wars are like a simulation that the ships create or something.
I don't remember.
It's
I don't
just
want
a
to think
psychic
that
shriek.
far into it. It hurts my brain.
I mean, this game is not exactly a Newtonian simulation.
I want to, like, go back in time and give a cup of coffee and a shoulder rub to the nerd who's hunched over a book in 1980, trying to figure out why dogfights happen in space according to modern laws of physics, so that Star Wars can be real for him.
Oh yeah, they shouldn't happen, but, like, they do.
Yeah, but, like, you know that multiple people have made a minor life's work out of trying to justify Star Wars using real-world physics.
That's what I always get bugged by. Like, Star Citizen is a great example. With the amount of work they do to justify in their internal, you know, like, lore docs, like, why starfighters work. But, like, the reality of it is, unless there's some very, very different rules going on about how stuff works in space, like, the most reasonable space battle is going to be two ships with really big guns 10,000 kilometers apart shooting at each other. Like, you're not going to have tiny little dogfights. So, like, why bother trying to mess around with, like, oh, we made our Newtonian physics simulator?
That's more block space than they've spent trying to justify why everything else in Star Citizen doesn't work.
Yeah.
You guys see that video? It was actually it was a pretty good video. I didn't know the creator, but they played Star Citizen for a little while and just like walked around the hub world, and it's honestly like they actually try to be like really upbeat about it, but it was honestly really depressing. Because, like...
How many thousands did he put into it?
No, he bought it just, like, for this... Just for that experiment, like, to go in and, like... And basically, well, I mean, the upshot... I'll see if I can find a link to the video before we post this, but the upshot is that, he actually wandered around the hub world for a while and literally got trapped in it, like, in a spiraling maze of falling through the geometry and waking up in strange places when he came back to find the game and just not knowing where he was. But, like, the thing that actually really kind of, like, made me feel glum was just, like they show the world in the demo and then he's walking around it, and I was getting that feeling that I've got after playing so many, like, really enticing-looking immersive RPGs, where you, like, see a shot of, like, a bar, and, like, a bunch of people sitting at the bar, and you're like, man, I wanna, like, enter that world, I wanna sink into it. And then you show up, and you stand in the bar, and there's fucking nothing to do.
Why is there...
It's not even a simulation, it's a sightseeing tour. And I know the game is in early access, which is a weird thing to say when it's had 3 times as many developers as it took to make Skyrim, and has been in development for longer than Skyrim was.
That game's never coming out, like, let's be honest.
I don't know if it... I don't know if it's coming out in a way which is much more meaningful than it is right now. I think it's in a Xeno's paradox of the longer is in a development, the less impressive each new development is.
Yeah.
So, but speaking of somebody who wants to lose themselves in a thing, just watching Josh blow up that frigate was kind of cool.
It was.
Like, I can picture being in a reality where you don't have anything like what we have now in terms of graphical fidelity. Where if you want to put yourself in the situation of being a starfighter in the world of Star Wars, you didn't have your pick of the litter from countless video games, but, like, this was it. Like, it was this or that arcade game that came out 10 years ago that no one likes and you haven't seen it in years anyway. Like, and in that situation, being able to, like, adjust all your different shield settings and your energy levels and your engine levels, and then, you know, outmaneuvering all these TIE fighters to blow up a frigate is really, really cool. But on top of that, like, the low fidelity really helps in a real way, where you can kind of backfill what it looks like when it explodes. Because what it actually looks like is a bunch of gray polygons and then some ugly explosion sprites. But what you do is fill that in your head with, like, a movie level explosion of, like, this thing blew up. And that works so much better in a lot of ways than if they actually did have really high level fidelity graphics. And I guess I have a soft spot for the sort of thing where, like, being able to, like, use this low fidelity to let your imagination fill in some holes is cool. I don't know, I'm rambling.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
The frigate hates.
I mean, that's kind of what this era is all about, is using your imagination to fill in holes. I definitely won't say that it's objectively better than just having a game which gives you a lot of fidelity and detail. But I would go so far as to say that I think they are both good.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm playing through Last Jedi now, or Fallen Jedi now, and Fallen Jedi does things this game could never dream of, in terms of characters and interactions. I mean, what was going on at the time was paying Biff Tannen and Mark Hamill to star in FMV things in Wing Commander, which...
Yeah. And I will say, like, despite the advantages that the low fidelity has for this, that doesn't mean it's perfect or couldn't be improved, which is a segue to next week's game, which is TIE Fighter, which will vastly improve upon this game in virtually every area in, like, a massively significant fashion.
Does it improve on how much Mark Hamill?
Missile. Mark Hamill is in neither game.
Aww. Does the B-Wing have a better
so
purpose?
when it does that weird stuff, that's not me doing it. The joystick input in this game is very strange and seems to often have a mind of its own.
I'm saying here
I don't know if that's just...
They got Mark Hamill to do, like, some of the story missions and stuff in Star Citizen, and they named his character Old Man. Like, that's his call sign. I don't know why that feels dickish. It really shouldn't, right? It is also a little confusing because they also supposedly got Gary Oldman.
What do you mean, supposedly?
Well, I don't know, because they got all these guys in 2015, and maybe they've actually recorded it, and it's actually available right now. But if they just signed these guys in 2015, that's not going to still be valid, like, 4 years later.
I've heard they had to reshoot a bunch of stuff several times. I don't know. It's...
Yeah, Gary Oldman's not showing up
You
to
gotta
work twice.
wonder what the internals of that company looks like.
I'm actually terribly curious. I imagine that a lot of people are working very hard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't doubt that they do some stuff, but it's like... They're, you know, it's gone on for so long, and they seem to be so far away from their final release goal.
That's not even the weak point. Why aren't we shooting the weak point?
Well, I had to pull off so I could shoot at it for longer. Alright, one of the cruisers is away.
Yeah, okay, so, yeah, you can watch the cutscenes and stuff starring Gary Oldman on YouTube.
It's gonna be like Destiny. None of the cutscenes make it into the game, but you can go to YouTube and watch the entire story.
This is a big waste of Gary Oldman.
That's what I say whenever things are wasting time. I'll just be like, this is a waste of Gary Oldman.
Yeah. Would this be worth Gary Oldman's time? I think not. Therefore, it's not worth mine. I'm betting on myself.
We need to find, like, a celebrity that has, like, an appropriate level of time. And if it's not worth their time, then it probably isn't worth my time. And that's what we need to find. The problem is Gary Oldman's, like, a really good Oscar-winning actor. We need someone like a David Boreanaz or something. We need somebody who, like, kind of sucks a little bit.
Matthew Lillard.
Oh, that's sad but true, especially now that he's not doing Shaggy, and that makes me so mad.
Aww.
Did you watch the Scoob trailer?
I did. I didn't like it.
Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah.
I have not. I don't know anything about this.
It wasn't that there was anything bad about it so much as there was the absence of anything especially good about it.
Well, they're trying to establish, from my understanding, a Hanna-Barbera universe like the Avengers, which is kind of interesting, but the trailer doesn't do much with that.
The idea that they're doing that is interesting. The idea of a shared Hanna-Barbera universe is very uninteresting. Hanna-Barbera is like the cream of wheat of intellectual properties.
But
Yeah,
didn't they
like-
already do that with Wacky Races?
Yeah, and that was great. I'm old. I like
I mean,
things.
I'm all for that. But I'm not.
I
I'm
want
like saying
Snidely
Hanna-Barbera
Whiplash.
technically already, you know, they've been there before.
I mean, I was born in 1991, so I'm probably not the target demographic. But for me, it was always very much a matter of, is Hanna-Barbera okay? Like, we're out of Disney and Warner Brothers. Is Hanna-Barbera okay? It's up there with, like, Golden Key Comics.
That's not what I wanted.
Oh my god, I confused Snidely Whiplash with Dick Dastardly.
I will say that of the Hanna-Barbera properties, Scooby-Doo is by far the best.
What? No. The Flintstones is the best. Like, the Flintstones is the pre-Simpsons Simpsons.
Flintstones very much failed to resonate with my generation, but I will trust you that it was a groundbreaking work of its time, that it really shook the bedrock.
I like the idea that Chris is just like a boomer or something.
The prehistory of cartoon development.
Space Ghost, though. What about Space Ghost? Space Ghost, that's technically Hanna-Barbera.
Isn't Space Ghost... Yeah, but, like, isn't Space Ghost kind of like the Hanna-Barbera project that somebody got away with?
Are we talking the original, or are we talking the Space Ghost Coast to Coast?
We're talking Coast to Coast, because what was the original? Did it have anything to recommend it?
It was a crappy superhero story.
Okay, so no.
But the badness is what made it good.
Alright, well, I've said some controversial things, so I guess I'll just walk this back and say that Yogi Bear can get fucked.
What?
Yogi Bear is not the worst of the Hanna-Barbera cartoons. Like, the worst of the Hanna-Barbera cartoons is, like, Miguel Gorilla.
See, I don't even know what that is.
That didn't even make the rerun circuit. Yeah.
Captain Caveman, that's also terrible.
Yeah.
I can't even visualize that.
He's just like a scruffy fur, yeah.
Okay, the hate has to go away now.
It's cousin It from Addams Family, but with a club and a vest.
Yeah. You know what? I haven't seen this in the sense that, like, I recognize it, but I've seen statues, like, sort of like the kind of things like it's like a giant ceramic statue or something, like you'd have outside a bowling alley or something. But I've always seen them just like blasted and decayed, like the colors leached by time, with Ozymandias cracks just kind of running all around them, and big pieces of their features blackened or missing by age or vandalism. Like, I have seen this man only in a degraded form.
Who are we talking about?
Captain
What?
Caveman?
Captain Caveman, yeah, I have seen what is left of Captain Caveman after time and neglect have done their dual cruelties to him.
I
Is
have
this his
never
real
heard
life?
Yeah, like I've seen, like I'm saying that I've literally seen Captain Caveman novelty statues that were commissioned by some bowling alley or whatever when Captain Caveman was a hot property that have since been left to molder. Like, Hanna-Barbera shit is actually, it's not rare to find Hanna-Barbera shit, like, in old places. Like, there's some Flintstones-themed amusement park that I think just fucking croaked a little while ago. And now there's just, like, a fake Flintstones bedrock village, which has just been, like, left to the ages to be consumed by the desert. Like, I'm not speaking in analogies. I'm saying literally. This is not a fancy or a bit. This is an actual thing I've seen somewhere.
I'm googling around for Captain Caveman statue, and I'm not finding anything creepy or abandoned.
I would actually go so far as to say that, like, what I have seen is not even noteworthy in that it is an abandoned thing.
A while ago. But I really want to.
It's the sort of thing where, like, Captain Caveman himself does not know where his mortal inclination suffers.
But, like, C-Lab 2020, that was great because it gave us C-Lab 2021.
A very rich industry of people making fun of how much Hanna-Barbera cartoons sucked.
Was that a TIE Interceptor?
Yes, this is a TIE Interceptor. It's annoying.
I know Star Wars!
Yay!
How long have we been going for?
While. Hour 15, but there was also that break in the middle where we had to fix the thing, so I don't know.
Yeah, so let's see if I can't kill this frigate on one more pass here after I take out this fucking TIE Interceptor.
Okay, I've been plundering the Hanna-Barbera Wikipedia page, and I've come to SWAT Cats, the Radical Squadron. Fucking cat cops.
Nice shot, target.
Alright, he's dead. We did it. we have to kill the other one?
Kill them all. So here's another thing I would like to see in my ideal version of this game. The ability to like have people inside of a ship that you're relying on to make it less like this is too much of a dogfighting sim. Like have it so that there are people trying to disable the shields or whatever, and you need to distract the TIE fighters till they disable the shields, and then you can blow up the thing. But I don't think this game does anything like that. Also, this game has nothing in Atmo other than the Death Star, correct?
Yeah, no, none of the games had any atmospheric stuff. That was one of the biggest complaints about Rogue Squadron, actually, Rogue Squadron 1 was 100% in atmosphere. There were no actual space battles in that game. Oh, okay, that guy was almost dead. I should have gone over there and killed that guy instead. Alright, there's just a couple TIE fighters to clean up. No, that's it. Cool. Nothing else is happening here. I don't know if we got the mission complete thing, but
how do you know that you've completed a mission?
A thing will appear in the bottom message log that says mission complete. What? How are there more fighters spawning? They don't have hyperdrives. Where are they coming from?
These ones do
Alex?
have hyperdrives, according
Alex,
to the
confirm that in
book.
your book.
What? Did we just run into a bug? Did I just bug this game? Are these guys launching from a frigate that blew up?
I went looking for the blue tunnel at Empire, and then I realized Empire is the one where they don't have any hyperspace at all.
Okay,
so.
mission complete.
Oh, the blue tunnel's in A New Hope. Or
What
are
a
you looking
terrific
for a blue
battle.
tunnel again?
I want more evidence of it. I want more photographic evidence.
Another spectacular victory for the Alliance.
Yeah, there we go.
Well,
Boy, that was
let's get
work.
to Hoth and join the celebration.
It's not going to be a very long
TIE Fighter Alpha 1
celebration.
has been destroyed.
Imagine showing up at Hoth, and because you can't get any comms in hyperspace, you arrive after the Battle of Hoth, and it's really awkward because it's just a bunch of like stormtroopers clearing out the base, and suddenly just like one X-wing swoops in, just kind of like hovers anxiously, and then does a Yubi.
Alright, so that's X-Wing. Next week we will play TIE Fighter. And
Where you're the bad guys.
Yes. But the actual gameplay itself is significantly improved in a variety of ways
This
that you
was
will see
cool.
next time.
Did you just blow a guy outside the airlock?
No.
Oh, that's a ship. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Told you.
I thought that was a human being.
I think if it's December 25th, Santa Claus appears on the concourse here.
No, that's so cool. We'll have to come back and log in in a month.
Or you could change your
It
desktop
should
calendar.
change Windows date. Yeah.
Does that even work with like DOSBox? Because can you like reach through the cold simulacrum of DOSBox and find your
I think
actual
it
desktop
uses
clock?
Maybe.
Wait. So how did Luke get to Dagobah if the little ships don't have light speed?
The TIE fighters don't have hyperdrives. The
So
Rebel
TIE fighters don't,
do.
but X-Wings do.
Yes.
Alex, can you confirm this?
Yes.
Yes, you can confirm them, or yes, that's accurate.
I can confirm it.
Huh?
I mean, they're
Probably
cheap,
a blurb in the TIE fighter.
so that's...
Yeah. Chris, do you know what TIE stands for?
Oh, I know.
Technical interceptor. Excellent.
No. Butskarn.
Terrifically easy shit. It's the TES, yep, the TES craft.
Is that what TES means? TES Oblivion.
I have wild fever, and that's the only reason I got that wrong. And we're gonna forget that it happened.
So just to confirm, the book does say they do not have drive systems. They also do not have shields, secondary weapons, and they don't have a lot of fuel supply or onboard life support systems.
Oh yeah.
Which is
like
why
Josh
they
is gonna
have
have a
to
good
wear
time.
the gas mask. Also because World War II, but also because they couldn't afford the onboard life support as well. That's the real reason.
Would you
Okay,
like
I'm looking up,
to
so no.
answer the trivia question, Alex, about what TIE stands for?
I feel like it's cheating.
Well, I'm just gonna answer it if you don't.
Twin ion engine.
There we go. Because
Well,
as you can
Wikipedia-
see, with the design of the TIE fighter, it has 2 ion engines.
Wikipedia
Can't you
actually,
tell?
like, in universe, calls bullshit and says it's actually probably just because it looks like a bow tie, though.
Can't you see the twin ion engines here? Aren't those red spots obvious?
Yes.
All right, goodbye, everybody. Chris, say
Good.
yub nub.
Yub nub. Yub nub.
Okay, that was
McClunky.
creepy.
That was awkward.
Hey, he made it awkward. I didn't make it awkward. You don't ask someone to say something.
Absolutely did.
This is not on me. This is on you.
After a sultry yum nub, you end up with what you might call a bit of a sticky wicked situation.
Well, goddammit, now Sultry Yubnub is the name of the episode.
Oh no, I'm gonna have to mark this video not for children.
Oh no, we're not gonna get in a kappa. We're not doing that.
Shuttle departing.